Everybody, welcome back to another video, and as the title of this video suggests, I wanted to take a quick look into a little preview of what is going to be coming out in our Helix 2.8 update. Obviously, I haven't seen 2.8, like none of us have yet. It's been mentioned that it's going to be released sometime, hopefully in the spring. These things are never carved in stone. There's a lot that goes into these releases, so I know everybody gets excited about it, and we don't really know exactly when it's going to come out. But I wanted to do a little video because I've been getting a lot of questions lately, and I wanted to talk about what my favorite new features are going to be. And it, might surprise some and not surprise others who follow my channel. It's not the new amp models or some of the other little features that some folks have been asking for. It's going to actually be the feature that Line 6 has implemented because of something that I did in a video previously, which is that split crossover technique that has gained a lot of attention, more so than I ever thought it would, but it was kind of a workaround for me for the fact that we didn't have a shelf EQ. Or I should say an adjustable shelf EQ. We do have a high and low shelf EQ on the simple EQ, but it's not adjustable, and it's quite limiting in how you can use it. I have used it at times, but it's a lot easier to do if you have a proper adjustable high and low shelf EQ. So Line 6 has decided to implement both, from what I understand, is going to be a fully adjustable high and low shelf EQ block, and something else that's called a tilt EQ, which is really kind of interesting. So I wanted to do a quick video showing you, obviously not with 2.8, but more in Cubase, in my DAW of choice. I use Cubase 10 Pro, which I love, and using a couple plugins, I want to show you what the idea is, kind of with a graphic interface of what these high and low shelf EQs do and what a tilt EQ is, because I've had a bunch of requests to do this. I know a lot of folks out there already know this stuff, and just disregard or watch the video just because. Well, let's take a look at it, and this will also try to kind of sort of explain what the split crossover technique I've been using has been doing all this time, which is another question I get a lot. Okay, so let's head over to Cubase here and see what we have. What I've done, and let me see if everything fits on the screen here properly. I have my mix console, and I've set up an input channel with two instances of Helix Native, and you'll see why in a second. The first instance that I put up here, I simply just put an amp and a cab, because normally where I put my split crossover in the signal chain is usually right after the amp and the cab. So I wanted to keep this kind of in the same order as what I normally work. Then I inserted a plugin called Neutron Advanced from a wonderful company called Isotope, who I use their plugins a lot. We'll get back to that in a second. That's going to be kind of the replacement for the split crossover, okay? Then I've implemented an instance of Tone Luxe Tilt EQ, which is another fabulous plugin, and I'm hoping that these are going to be similar to how Line 6 implements these into 2.8. And then I have another instance of Helix Native, which sort of has the end of what my normal signal chain would be, which would be a little bit of delay, reverb, and a little bit of LA Studio Comp. I didn't even have to put this in, but I just put it in to kind of mimic what I normally do in the real world. Okay, so here we go. Let's start off with, let me grab my guitar. Let's start off with what I would normally have without having any of the EQs engaged as just hearing Helix Native with the amp cab and my normal signal chain. So here I am with my RevStar 620 guitar. And let's just hear a little bit of how this will sound. This is just the two instances of Helix Native with, like I said, the placator dirty. I didn't really do much other than greenback 25 cabinet with a 121 ribbon mic, distance 5 inches back, and then here's the settings, as you can see, for the placator. Okay, somebody might like that tone, maybe they find it too dark, maybe they find it too muddy, whatever, but we're gonna work with the EQs now. So we'll get out of Native and we'll come back over to, and we'll get our instance of Neutron Advanced going. These are just presets I don't need. We'll turn that on. Now what I've done here, as you can see in this EQ, it's a very powerful EQ with many bands that we can turn on and off. That's not what I want to do here. I want to focus simply on this band right here and this band right here. And these are the low and the high shelf. Now, here's basically what would normally happen with my split crossover technique inside of Helix. I usually, a lot of times, have these set around 650 hertz. So let's select both of these. And if you notice, I'm going down here to where I can select the frequency. Set them both to 650. Now, you can kind of see they both disappear. They're right on top of one another. This was the limitation of the split crossover. I had one crossover point to choose, and I could either boost the frequencies above that, or boost or cut them, or boost or cut the frequencies below that. But I couldn't have them stretched out. And this is one thing I'm excited about, and I hope it's implemented in that way where we can choose our frequency for both, because that's going to be so much more powerful, as you'll see. So let's take this, and if I came in and said, okay, I am going to boost all the frequencies above 650 hertz. Now you can see a graphical representation of what's happening. All those frequencies, like a shelf, that's why it's called a shelf EQ, are now boosted. That's obviously a little bit crazy, right? And a lot of times I go very subtle, maybe 1 or 2 dB. Now maybe I want to cut all the frequencies below that by 1 or 2 dB. If I bypass that EQ, you'll hear a huge difference now. Now, in this particular case, if I was to actually want to utilize this in a way that was useful, I might put a couple dB on the highs. Bypass that and see how difference it makes. So we can see how powerful that is. A couple dB above 650 hertz and the whole thing opens up. But here's what I'm going to like about being able to adjust both frequencies. Let's say I don't want both set at 650. Let's say maybe I want to go up to around 1,000 hertz on my high shelf, and my low shelf I actually want to go down a little bit lower to maybe 350 hertz. And I want to boost all the frequencies above. Here's our baseline again. At 1,000 hertz, maybe I want to boost everything up a couple dB, and everything below 350 hertz down a couple dB. Again, I'm just noodling here and kind of playing around with this. Maybe that's too much on the low end. But it gives us the ability to move these frequencies around and leave a more flat area in between. So that's going to be very, very handy. And the other great thing is we're going to be able to get this down to just one block now, rather than having to use the split crosser with 2 gain blocks. Especially for people with HX Stomp, it's going to be huge because we have the limitation of 6 blocks. So I hope that kind of answers some of your questions about what the high and low shelf EQ and being adjustable is going to give us. And that's going to be a very, very powerful feature, I think, as you can hear once we have that in 2.8. Now, what about a tilt EQ here? I'll turn the neutron off and I will turn on the tilt EQ. So Tone Luxe, this is made by a company called Softtube, and this is a model of the Tone Luxe tilt EQ. So a tilt EQ, as you can see right here, there's a couple other features that we're not going to talk about, but see the blue line here and the red line here? Basically what it does is you have your flat EQ, and if you tilt more so that the high end gets accentuated, it lowers the low end at the same time. So similar to a shelf EQ, but not so dramatically up and across, just kind of tilting the frequency. So if you cut the lows, the highs are going to go up a bit. You boost the highs, the lows, the highs are going to go down a bit. So you could have a very bright signal and want to maybe put a little bit of bottom end and a little less top end. Very easy to just use this. It's a very powerful tool where a little goes a long way. Let's hear how that sounds. So here's my unaffected Helix native tone again. Now I'm going to go dramatic at first. I'll tilt all the way up 6 dB. Let's go the other way. So you can hear all the highs got tilted out and the lows got boosted up, right? So if I go back to 0 and let's say I probably want a little more high and a little less low end, I'm just gonna give this a little tweak upwards around there. Now let's bypass that. Here's the original tone. Original tone. Very powerful in small doses. This really, in the video I originally did about the split crossover technique, I really talked about it as almost having the ability to move a microphone around on a cabinet if we're recording in real life, you know? And that's really kind of what this kind of thing almost mimics. The tilt EQ and the adjustable high and low shelf give us so much flexibility. So I hope that kind of helps you guys to understand what we have coming as far as those 2 new EQs. I hope nobody was expecting me to talk about new amp models and stuff. I haven't seen 2.8. I hope to have a copy of it at some point in the, maybe, you know, before it's released, if all works out as planned. That would be really cool. But I just wanted to give you guys, because I've been getting so many questions about tilt EQ and adjustable high and low shelves, that I thought maybe this can answer it with a bit of a graphical representation on screen, which always helps it when we can see it visually. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I made sense as I was talking about all that. And I'll be back soon with some more content. Please like the video and share it if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be back soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Ciao for now.